Here we are again, sadly. I'd hoped the big story from this week was going to be the new studio. Ta-da. But instead, it's new year, new start, new manager. Ruben Amorim is gone. As regular viewers will know, I was pro Amorim from the moment he came through the door. I mean, you always support every manager that comes in regardless. But for me, being inside the club at the time, it did genuinely feel like the impact he had on the place was going to take us places in the long run. I thought he was the man for the long-term restoration job, but I was wrong. That is not the case. There were some pretty straightforward and compelling arguments against him, the performances and the results, and you can't really argue with that. You know, neither were up to scratch, and for most people, that's the end of the debate, which is fair enough. Ultimately, it would appear that the formational approach against Wolves, three at the back, and then the subsequent behind-the-scenes fallout provided both parties with the chance to say that they'd had enough of each other, really. And if the relationship had frayed to the point where they couldn't survive that disagreement, then it's best to part ways, frankly. It saddens me, honestly, because some of Ruben's work was very good and was clearly aimed at a long-term cultural shift, which, as we all know, is needed. You know that no manager or head coach will last forever, but you want them to come in and leave the club in a better position than they found it. The chance said that Ruben would turn the Reds around, and for me, he's got us facing in the right direction now. If you look at the course United were on when he arrived versus the direction of travel now, it's a better place, a better state of affairs. Before Ruben came in, under Erik ten Hag, Ralf Rangnick, players' commitment and effort levels were called into question regularly. That ceased to be the case. Dressing room leaks have stopped, coincidentally, as certain players have left. There's more of a collective spirit been fostered. And despite the current injury issues, we've seen good progress on player availability. And above all, the squad is better than it was now. It's hard to argue with any of the departures that we've seen, and the incoming signings have addressed some major issues. You know, if you break it down departmentally, when he came in, there were huge problems with the goalkeeper, defence, midfield, and attack. There was no department of the team, of the squad, that wasn't providing issues. Now we sorted the goalkeeper. The attack is functioning. Midfield was next on the hit list, and once that's sorted out, then the defending part becomes much easier. And just the whole thing seems to be working better than it was. One of the comments the other day that came on the channel put it beautifully. It was 2 steps forward, 1.5 back. So it was progress, but just not at the rate that anyone wanted. But anyway, there isn't really a debate over whether it was the right call or not, because clearly both parties were happy to separate at this point. The way the violence of the escalation shows that it was very, very fragile. So it was going this way. Sooner or later, this was going to happen. And at this point, the numbers only back up one outcome, as I said. So here we are. In the short term, it looks and feels and sounds like it's going to be a former player or a combination of former players between now and the end of the season. Whoever it is, we can see a reversion to 4 at the back almost straight away. And then depending on the opposition, it's going to be 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3. And the squad is well equipped for either approach. It'll be swift counter-attacking football in the bigger games, I would have thought. And then if the new coaching setup can find a way to overcome the issues, the long-standing issues that we've had with the low block, then we're going to be very well set. 'Cause if you look at the Premier League, obviously Arsenal, a very, very decent team, 6 points clear at the top. City are very good. Aston Villa are very good, even though I thought we made them look pretty ordinary the other week when we played them. Below that, there's 7 points separating 4th from 14th. It's all up for grabs this season, pretty much. Relegation seems pretty set. Arsenal probably going to end it the long wait this year. But between that, anything goes. It's impossible to call, but we're in contention for where we want to be. The new coaching team, whoever it is, can implement a system where the players are more comfortable, and we've got key players coming back from AFCON, from injury. So we are well set. I'll sit down with the channel analyst Nick Story in the coming days to discuss the options for permanent managerial appointment, but I would initially make a couple of points. If for argument's sake, Ollie, Carrick, Rude are back in the building, explore the possibility of longer term roles for them within the club. As long as it suits the club, they serve a purpose, not just, having them around for vibes or whatever. If there's a job that they can do let them do it, because we all talk about the club identity, and that for some people it really does get their back up, talk of United DNA and all that kind of thing. It's just, I think it's having winners in the building. I think it's having people who have bought into the story of United down the years, just to help keep telling it. Yes, you can have too many of those figures around, but the right ones in the right positions. Bayern Munich do that very well, and they're doing okay. So for me, if you get these guys back in the building, keep them there. Find a use. I think, getting rid of Ollie as manager back in 21, could he have been moved upstairs? Could have been moved somewhere else within the setup? Maybe. It's a lot of know-how, a lot of experience that would be incredibly useful for the next guy, a handover at very least. As for the permanent appointment, it will be, unless it gets resolved very quickly, then it will be a long and arduous time to be a United fan, because there's going to be a lot of names thrown around. A lot of managers are out of contract in the summer, and their agents are going to be chirping away straight away. United's vacancy is going to be such a useful bargaining chip for those agents as they look for new deals or new clubs. But for me, if we want to be seen as the biggest club in the world, or want to certainly at least make strides towards in the right direction on that front, you go all in for Luis Enrique. He ticks every box except Premier League experience, and he has faced Premier League teams repeatedly in the past. He's a proven winner, probably the best manager in the world right now. As Andy Mitten has said before, from his direct conversations with Luis Enrique, he has been previously interested in the United job. Take that into account with his style of play, his faith in youth, his system. He even has experience of 3 at the back from his time at Barcelona, if we ever chose to go that way again in a game. Obviously, PSG want to lock him in. There's talk of a lifetime contract and so on and so forth. There's reports, rumours coming out yesterday that he's going to turn that down. We don't know. But if there's a chance to get him, you go all in, because let's say, well, there isn't a great deal more for him to achieve with PSG, especially if they win the Champions League again this season. What challenges remain for him there? It's in his 3rd campaign. I don't think he's stayed anywhere longer than 3 seasons. And for him, for any top manager, the challenge of being the guy who does come in and take United back to the top, that's an invigorating one. That's going to appeal to the right kind of egos. If Luis Enrique isn't available or does re-sign with PSG, then for me, you've got to shoot for Carlo Ancelotti. You want someone who's going to come in and wow fans and the players, crucially, and the staff. And there's not many figures, certainly amongst those external candidates being named right now. There's not an awful lot of wow factor there. And Carlo Ancelotti, you cannot compete with his pedigree. Obviously, he's managing Brazil at a World Cup, so what an honour that is. That is going to be his main focus, so it could be difficult, but who knows? And if we're going for, not dark horses because he is being mentioned, but Mauricio Pochettino, he has been linked for a long old time. I know categorically he does have a lot of support still within the club, within the old guard who remain. And I say with total confidence that he would take the job if offered. I think he'd walk to Old Trafford to get it, and it's not been plain sailing for him with the USA national team. He obviously has the great honour of being able to lead a nation at a World Cup, a host nation, which very few people in history have been able to do. Once that's out of the way, I think he'll be gone, and I think he would, like I say, he would walk to Old Trafford. Obviously, it's not ideal to have to wait until after the World Cup to have a permanent manager coming in, but that's where the caretaker comes in and becomes absolutely vital, because they can be in constant dialogue over the next 5-6 months and just make that transition so much smoother. The club tried to do it with Ralf Rangnick and Erik ten Hag. That was nipped in the bud pretty much as soon as Erik came in. So that was a missed opportunity for me, because there's so much knowledge went out of the building in that time. But whoever the caretaker is can spend the next 5-6 months learning, passing things on to the new manager incoming, implementing any requests from them, if there's a joined up strategy, it could actually be quite a decent outcome in the end. But there's so much road left to run. There's going to be a lot of noise, endless noise, as there always is. I'd prayed for a quiet season, a boring season where we got back into Europe. No chance. Just got into the new year on that front before it all properly kicked off. There's a lot of road left to run, like I say, a lot of noise. But what we do know, Darren Fletcher takes charge tonight, aided and abetted by Travis Binion, Johnny Evans, Alan Wright. So good luck to the guys. Let's just hope for a win. You know, a great performance would be absolutely wonderful. You know, solid forward to back, expansive forward play. Great. Perfect. But just get the points on the board. That'll be amazing. And then we go from there. So good luck to the boys and enjoy.